So, chances are you know too much sugar is not good for you. Of course, it can contribute to weight gain because when your cells have gotten their fill of sugar, what's left is turned into fat. But beyond that, there are many reasons why we want to limit sugar, especially in our second half. So, we think that knowing these facts can give you the extra inspiration you need to start cutting back on your sugar and readjusting your sweet tooth. So, according to major health organizations, thousands of evidence-based studies show that excess sugar has damaging effects to all parts of the body. They suggest that women take in no more than 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of added sugar per day, which we actually feel is a little bit liberal. We like to see less than that. But as a reference, just one Starbucks glazed donut contains 30 grams of sugar, so well over the limit for the day. We actually like to see less than 24 grams, and 1 teaspoon of sugar equals 4 grams. So you can kind of measure it as you go along in your day. But guess what? The average American is taking in about 22 teaspoons a day. So if you are among the average as far as sugar intake is concerned, it's time to get to work and start changing that. So we have another video where we share ways to cut back on sugar intake, and we will link to that below, or it will pop up here at some point. So be sure to check that out afterwards. But for now, let's get to our 6 reasons why mature women need to limit sugar, and be sure to stay on till the end because we share the good news about all this. All right? Oh, and always, if you like this, please click the like button, subscribe, share this video, and click the bell to be notified of future videos. All right, so let's start off with the obvious. Reason number 1, excess sugar throws off your blood sugar. We have so many women coming to us with prediabetes or even diabetes, so of course they need help lowering their blood sugar. But even if blood work isn't getting flagged for sugar issues, it's vital to pay attention to lowering sugar intake. So here's how it works. When you eat carbohydrates, your body breaks those carbs down into its simplest form, which is glucose. Then your blood sugar rises and releases the hormone insulin. Insulin helps your cells draw the glucose from your bloodstream and deliver it to your cells to be used as fuel. We need that fuel, right? But imagine a wave going up and down and up and down. So the rise of the wave is the presence of the sugar in your blood, or blood sugar, after you've eaten something. And the bottom part is after insulin comes in and removes it. So here's the catch. The height of the wave depends on the type of carb you're eating. If it's a whole food carb like broccoli or an apple or a sweet potato that has some fiber, the rise will be much less than from a sugary donut or cookie. The key here is that processed carbs and sugar will cause the food to break down faster, causing a higher peak. And then keep in mind that when you eat lots of sugar, your body will overproduce insulin, and then it starts to clear too much sugar from the bloodstream, with the excess going into your fat cells, leaving you feeling tired and weak and craving. Chances are you know that feeling. So this is what we call a sugar crash, and it leaves you craving more sugar to bring you back to normal, and at the same time, you fed your fat cells. So when this happens too often, it can lead to insulin resistance, where the cells stop recognizing insulin. They're like, no more, we've had enough. And we're more susceptible to insulin resistance in our second half, which we're going to talk about more in a couple minutes. So we prioritize balancing blood sugar with all of our clients as it helps with moods, cravings, avoiding insulin resistance, and of course, weight loss.
Thank you, Stephanie. I know blood sugar balance has been huge for me, managing my moods and just my satiety and so many other things in the body. That's a really important one for number 1. Okay, number 2, for the reason we want to be reducing sugar and getting it out of our diet, is inflammation. So inflammation is related to so many conditions in the body. Not only does it affect the heart, prediabetes, we're talking about arthritis, we're talking about inflammatory bowel diseases like Crohn's and colitis. And in addition, as we're saying all the time, this becomes more prevalent as we age. So honestly, a client's refined sugar intake is the first thing we root out when we're working with someone. Now, when insulin levels are high in the bloodstream, certain compounds called eicosanoids are produced that trigger inflammation. So many women do not realize that a high sugar intake can lead to this pro-inflammatory state, and that just inflames your joints and arteries. So again, not only is it related to the heart, but think about pain you might have from osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis or knee or joint pain. And eating too much sugar, we often say it's like throwing hot coals on your joints. So also a high sugar diet may preferentially feed inflammatory bacteria in your gut, right? We have different kinds of bacteria. We have good bacteria and pathogenic bacteria. So we want to be feeding the good guys and not the bad guys. So sugar is going to feed those pathogenic bacteria that can be inflammatory. Also, eating too much processed sugar can cause the liver to produce toxic levels of fat. And we often see this manifested when women have high triglyceride levels or high LDL levels. And it's interesting because clients are so focused on their fat and cholesterol intake that they don't realize how important it is to get the sugar out. And this really has the most impact on their lab work, honestly. So again, that's why it's usually the first thing we look at. Okay, so inflammation is number 2. And number 3 for why sugar is detrimental to the body is mineral depletion. So glucose is the final breakdown of carbohydrates, and it's used to produce energy in our body, which is a good thing. But this breakdown requires a number of enzymes that depend on B vitamins, calcium, magnesium, and lots of other important minerals. So if you're eating a whole foods diet that's already rich in a lot of these vitamins and minerals, you're going to use those nutrients in the food to help this breakdown process. But when we eat a lot of excess refined sugars that are lacking in those nutrients, the body has to collect vitamins and minerals from its own stores. So we give this analogy where it's like your bones are serving as a mineral bank. And in consuming sugar, you're making a constant cash withdrawal from your bones. So unless we make sure to replace what we take out from our account, we're going to go bankrupt. That's just one way to think about it. So also when sugar is depleting our supply of all these valuable minerals and some vitamins, it results in serious health consequences. We need an abundance of minerals and vitamins for so many functions in the body. So women who are experiencing leg cramps, muscle tightness or spasms, blood sugar imbalances, high blood pressure, and even things like mood disorders and depression can be affected by a high sugar intake because, again, it can work to help deplete these mineral stores. So number 3, depleting mineral stores.
It's so fascinating how everything is so interrelated in our bodies, right? So moving on to reason number 4 to limit sugar is it can depress the immune system. So to add to what Jane was just saying about minerals, the immune system is clearly going to be compromised by the lack of minerals, particularly zinc, which is so important for our immune system. In addition, studies have shown that sugar affects the ability of your white blood cells to do their job. So your white blood cells are the cells of your immune system. They defend the body against disease and foreign matter. So the take-home message here is that sugar consumption is decreasing your ability to fight disease. We've seen research that 1 teaspoon of sugar depresses the immune system function for 5 hours. So it's not surprising that upper respiratory illnesses often follow and directly correspond to times of excessive sugar intake, for example, around the holiday times. Sugar does not only decrease our ability to fight bacteria, but also can lower our ability to fight other viruses, cancer, and parasites. So as an added note, if you are fighting illness or there's a lot of illnesses going around, especially at that time, you want to watch your sugar intake. Of course, all the time, but especially at that time, you want to watch your sugar intake. Okay, moving on to reason number 5 is sugar affects brain chemicals. So sugar actually qualifies as an addictive substance for 2 reasons. 1, eating even a small amount creates a desire for more. And 2, suddenly quitting causes withdrawal symptoms such as headaches, mood swings, cravings, and fatigue. Have you experienced this? Our brains become addicted to the natural opioids triggered by sugar consumption. Similar to classic drugs like cocaine, alcohol, and nicotine, sugar can cause excessive reward signals in the brain. So the good news is it's not your fault, because guess what? The food companies want you to be addicted to their products, and therefore they spend tons of money researching ways to get you addicted. And that's where education comes in, because learning ways to limit sugar are key. Even more good news is that there are steps you can take to wean yourself off sugar. So we do see people tackle this issue all the time. So as I promised, we will link to our video on ways to lower sugar intake here. Here. It'll be one of those places.
Thank you, Steph. I know it took me a while to get off my chocolate addiction, so I can totally relate. All right, now our sixth and final reason why we are encouraging you to get off sugar has to do with our hormones. So first of all, don't forget that insulin is a hormone, and that can also fall under this category, of course. Now, Stephanie alluded to this when she talked about us being more susceptible to insulin resistance at this age. And what's important here is that estrogen helps to optimize insulin. And what happens in and after menopause? Estrogen is reduced. So this is going to mess with our ability to regulate our blood sugar. Now, there's also some evidence that drops in progesterone that occur also have a role on insulin's ability to do its job. So there's still research going on in that area. But the fact is that these hormones do have an effect on this blood sugar issue. And obviously we can't control that. We can't help that our estrogen and progesterone are going to decline. But that's why it becomes even more important that we have to be really diligent about making sure that our diet is low in added sugar and that we're feeding it quality nutrition. So don't discount your hormones. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I don't really eat that much sugar. And most women we encounter have absolutely no idea how much sugar they actually consume. And that's because it's hidden in so many seemingly healthy foods. It could be in granola bars, yogurt, salad dressings, coffee drinks, condiments, cereals. And so remember we mentioned before that anything over 6 teaspoons a day puts you at risk for overconsumption. And that's actually even a little bit generous. So that's the amount of sugar, about 24 grams, that you'll find in less than 1 soda. It could be a glass of lemonade or a lot of low-fat yogurts, for instance. So we encourage you to just take a few days, take stock of what you're eating, write it down, and check to see where your sugar is coming from. That's the best way to get started. And to give you some good news, we do, as mentioned before, have another video where we discuss 12 actionable steps to reduce sugar in the diet. So be sure to check that out. We give so many great tips and you will learn so much. This is definitely something we can overcome. If you found this interesting or helpful, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified for future content so we know you want to hear more. And also check out all our other videos for even more support on managing weight and health after 50.